everyone. Hello, Katie here, and this is a continuation of my Sterling ink project where I have stickers from 2024 and I'm using them in my 25, and this is 2026. So I'm basically having this as like a big giant sticker book because I had collected them over the last year or so, before moving, and I wanted to put them in a place where I could see them all together. That's my autistic brain. And I also wanted to kind of dive into goals or dreams that I've had for myself over the years. Not necessarily ones I would actively pursue, but just revisiting them. And this is going to be like, this is what I was mainly inspired by. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where is up, where is down. There's a very flowy feel to this. It's kind of water, kind of almost like fantail fish, almost kind of like fabric. And it has just this like watery feel. And I very much connect with that. And I thought, let me kind of look at two different things here. And for this one, so there's kind of like a botanical feel as well. The pink's very, very, very light pink. And again, I don't know what she's using as reference or anything that, what these actually mean to her. And she would probably say, Catherine would probably say, it's whatever it means to you. So I kind of went with, okay, let's get back to my roots. I lived a very long time in Seattle. That's where most of my adult experiences were. And there was a time when I was pretty young that I was just learning how to play piano. And I also would write stories. And I got compliments on both of these things. That my stories were really creative, and I was playing really well for the piano for my age. Again, it wasn't like really high, it was just like really well done, like kind of getting A's. I'm not jumping ahead levels, I guess. So I knew, I guess, just thinking back on it now, I knew I wasn't like going to pursue either one. I just know that like other things caught my eye, that I wanted to go more into art and photography and stuff like that. So, but there are some things I guess I wrestled with at the time that were hard for me. I now know I have dyslexia. So the writing part, while like in third grade worked, the more I advanced with it, I had a lot more trouble. I even hired a copywriter for quite a long time, for a year and a half or so, like helping me with writing for my business. And I learned a lot from her, just to see, like, she was downright amazing. And she could see my concepts and turn them into something beautiful, way like better than any AI could do it. Like, I can definitely see the difference. Even now, it's like AI is still not going to come close, because there is something pretty magical in writers' brains that can turn things into music, basically. And I kind of want to combine them both here, where I enjoyed, here you see my hands and you see me putting stuff in notebooks here, but the act of playing the piano as well, I fortunately have long fingers and I could like reach the notes really well. But there's something really flowy about that, and what I want to try out as well is I went back to some of Catherine's videos where she kind of uses her method of, she kind of like just puts all the stickers down for the whole month, And that includes monthly, weekly, and daily for her. I don't do daily in this one. But I wanted to bring some of that back because I saw that in her, I think one of her latest videos of just like a plan with me kind of a thing. And she doesn't put a whole lot of them out, but she has quite a few on her channel to show like ways of using her stickers. And I just loved to see how that all flowed. Now she's doing little like drawings in here of her kids and you know, adding stuff that way. So I will say I'm going to start with putting a bunch of stickers down like she does, but I'm going to have to cut and do this on my own time because it takes so much time to fill everything in that I'm probably not going to be able to show as much. I'm going to get the stickers in, then I'm going to try out one layout. And if I have kind of a template in my mind, even though it's kind of free flow, then I might come back and show a little bit more of like how I'm doing it. But yeah, these videos take like 3 or 4 hours just to get everything in there and expand upon it. So anyway, I'm going to show you just the sticker part first, and then we'll see where this video ends up. But I'm trying to see if there's a different way to make these videos. I want to show you the process, but also speed things along a little bit too. So yeah, my persona this time is myself as living in Seattle, writing and playing music, and to a level where it's not like I'm a touring pianist or anything. Like it's not to that level, but I'm doing it at a level that is professional to earn some income on, and writing to kind of like put it together. And I very much have been that way over the years of doing different disciplines and putting them together. I'm definitely doing that right now. I do like podcasts and design inserts and do coaching and do consulting, and like there's all these different things. And so this will definitely kind of marry two things together, which, because I like the variety, right? That ADHD brain wants like to have more than one thing to focus on. And how do you juggle all that? Like I've been able to do it in a way where I have these little pockets and then you have access to me in those pockets. It's kind of like how I've kind of arranged it. But yeah, so let me put these stickers down and try to get them all on. And my goal is to have these pretty much empty. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. I do see like this Tombow 800. Catherine does talk a lot about using Tombows and how they match. And I do feel like the 800 and the 177, which is really dark, this green one's pretty dark, but they do match this. And she had talked about one time, like naming which Tombows she was using, but I didn't really see that happening. So let me know if anyone talks about that or has found that somewhere. I do follow a lot of her stuff, and she just once or twice, there was one like package on her website that included some Tombows in it, but I only saw that like once, so I'm not sure. I'm just kind of curious about if anyone knows anything else about that. So let me get these down and then I'll rejoin you when they're all on here. Okay, so I'm actually quite happy with how this came out. I was thinking a lot of melodies, and this is kind of a scattering of things, but I'm also paying attention to like vertical placement. Like, could this look like notes on a page? And so I haven't mapped out like what is happening in this version of my life yet, but when I'm looking at these pages, it's definitely something where I want to write some longer sentences in here and try that out, and then put like a little bit of info here. So I have them all on this side in this layout. I have them in the middle here. I was thinking like plan for music parts up here and writing parts down here. So I'm going to try that. And also kind of like what Catherine does is kind of placing stickers kind of in the middle of things, and you just kind of write around it. So that's what I'm going to try. I also was trying to use up some of these. These are the thicker washi strips. And so I'm using them more as borders instead of the last, quite a few of them I used as like to mean certain things. Like here was a project. I've had them mean trips that I'm taking in here. Like this was that's an event actually. And then this was like going to Paris. And this is like a deep cleaning a studio there. Whereas this is more kind of a border, and I'm going to indicate elsewhere on the page for like events and things. And then I thought this one, to mix it up, is to have it start over here and then end over here. And it just kind of feels a little flowy, a little, like you're reading music. And sometimes, your parts come in and out. So, sometimes a flute comes in and then stops and that kind of a thing, like a little solo or something. So there's a bunch of kids outside. And then here I have it like on the exact opposite that I started off with. So on here it's this side, on here it's this side. And I'm going to do some like writing on each side here and see how that goes. And so I only have a few more little strips here to use up, which I'm very proud of. I feel like there was just enough for this. And yeah, I'm going to be doing some washi stuff, but this is the part I'm going to do off camera because this is the part that takes a long time. So let me see how this kind of goes. The lighting's going to change up. It'll be a different day, but yeah, I'm really excited how this is going so far. I'm being pulled in. I feel like I want to write on these pages, which is exactly what I want to do. Each time I kind of dive back into this project, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. It's not like any of my other videos where I can get them done within 15 minutes to up to an hour. It just takes so long to do these. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to dive into it yet, but this is really beautiful. I really want to start writing on these. So you will catch me in the cut here into the next day. So I'll see you then. Okay, welcome back. And I'm glad I took time to go through and do a bunch of writing in here, because I have always wondered like how to do this or try it out, and it just has never worked in my own layouts. And so that's what this whole opportunity is also about, right? It's going through and just trying out a bunch of layouts that that I could never try in my current book, or maybe I could, I don't know. It just makes me think just kind of outside the box, right? So on this one, I had 3 stacked on 4, and I wrote a bunch about reflecting. And I have to say, these reflections actually mirror a bit about what I'm currently going through. So I am trying to kind of engage in my fantasy type facet of myself here that is around my age. And so, it's not like I've gone back 10 or 20 years. It's like, no, this is where I'm at right now in these different personas. And so, yeah, I was able to kind of hone in on like how often is she practicing piano, because that's something I grew up with, and taking it to the point where I'm doing like awards shows, like local, like just think of like the city of Seattle, and they're coming together and they need like someone to play piano for some kind of party or award ceremony, or like a I do have like another like commitment ceremony in here, like just stuff like that. So, and then I'm writing a book in this, and I have like scheduled on here. It's not, I didn't write like how many hours I wrote, because I heavily considered, like, I'm tracking a lot of stuff digitally in this. I don't have any trackers in here. I don't have like health trackers. I don't have, reminders and stuff like that. I'm actually using my phone for a lot of that. I wanted to just only have appointments and knowing that I'm practicing and writing on certain days, and like when parties are, when certain things are, but that's it. So it's a bit more of a reflection journal, looking back and seeing what I did, which I thought was really freeing, because I do have a tracker in my current one. And so it's like, well, when I look back on this planner, like how much do I really want to remember tracking? Like, is that something that's really important to me or not? But like this is kind of what I would want to know, like, oh, I did this on this day, and this is some reflection. So I also would write the reflection about the week that had already happened. And so, when I had the stickers in, I'm mainly just focusing on this part first and then going back and writing a reflection. In this version of me, I left for a visit for the coast from Seattle, the Oregon coast, and took some days there, like a Sunday through a Wednesday, because those can be a cheaper time to go, and it's less crowded there. And so did some like little doodles about like where I stayed, and kind of reflected about how it went. But I wanted to get some writing done, so I had like a couple solid days, and also some decompression in there of like what I was doing. And going here, just having, a nice big info dump here of like how I'm feeling. I had some house projects here because, let's see, where was it? Oh, right here I have a roof estimate. So, it's that usually when you're doing some kind of roof estimate, it's you own the house, and so you're trying to take care of it. So I kind of did a little house project section here, and then some upcoming travel ideas. Usually, and then I said looking for small cabins or like mother-in-law rooms, or like little out buildings, so that there can be some quiet, and having some little writing retreats, and wondering like how often I can do that. And that's kind of what I reflected on here. I was like, going into the next month, what do I want to have for the rest of the summer? I think that's a good reflection of like, this is the beginning of summer. How do I want the rest of the summer to look? So it feels kind of short. I'm like looking through this going, oh, there's only 4 spreads here, because last month there were 5. There was a lot going on over here. But I think if it had been more, it would have been a lot more to do. I'm trying like little like scribbles here and there. I didn't draw anything here, but I did want to draw some things here and nothing here. So I'm putting in like little tiny sketches, but it's not something I regularly do. I was trying to like think if I should read through the journaling parts. I think I'm just going to if you really want to read through it, I'll just let you do a screenshot or something, or pause it and read it if you want. It's nothing private, but, and then here I put, last year I was hoping for this exact moment. So, just kind of reflecting, which is actually really true of my current life, of like last year, this time, a week before this time, I was hoping to move here. And now that I'm here, it's one of those kind of thoughts. My writings are coming along, and it's a struggle. As always, I've had so many ideas in my head, but it's hard to get them all out and organized, trying to use some tools, but also make sure it's all my own work. But also, I want to make sure it's cohesive. So, I'm just thinking about, like, if I were writing, this is kind of like the ideas I would have. Beyond work, I want to make sure I am pacing myself and not overworking. Parties and performances can take a lot out of me, and I may like to perform, but I'm also an introvert and I need alone time to rest and recharge. Journaling is helping to reflect before I go too far, reflect. Before I go too far. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like, before I overwork myself. Okay. Practice is all one can do. Practice with intention. Know that the next day, week, month, provides a fresh opportunity to try a new angle, a new outlook, a new perspective. I feel like this outlook gives me a lot of hope and ways to be creative as well. Trying things that are unconventional, combining things that normally don't go together. And I don't normally read my handwriting. I kind of write to get it out, and then I don't read it very often. I don't have to adhere to how it's always been done. Change. So this kind of stuff, this is really me. This is besides kind of imagining the actual type of work that I'm doing, I feel like it's a little similar. Writing to me can be a lot like coding. I do a lot of coding for websites and graphic design stuff. So let's see if I can talk graphic design stuff. So it's a lot like moving your fingers, using the keyboard and mouse. But then no, actually, so I'm going off on a weird tangent here. There's practicing with a keyboard, and then there's writing. So I don't know. I feel like there's equivalence with coding as to writing, as these kind of videos that I'm making right here is almost like music to me in a little bit of a way. It's a way for me to be creative. Although I know playing music is a totally different part of the brain. I understand that. So I don't know. It's just, I did find a lot of similarities to what I was doing here, and that I was living in Seattle for this gave me this groundedness. Living in Seattle made this feel really grounded because I know that area so well, and, kind of coming up with things going to the coast. I knew that it takes 6 hours to get there, the Oregon coast from Seattle. And it's not something you just 2 hours and you're there. You can from Portland, and then, which is such an awesome, place to live there, but it does take a lot longer. And so we were going a lot less often. And then just kind of coming up with these are places I would probably be looking into visiting. Not everything is in the Washington state. There's some things that are out of the country and out of the state, but just some things that kind of are cohesive with who I am and who this persona is. So yeah, I felt like this one really anchored me back into this book. Some of these other personas are very, very different, like in different countries and places I've never been. And so it's just kind of imagining, whereas this one just kind of grounded me again. And yeah, we'll see what July brings, but I'm hoping, some of these kind of layouts kind of give you some ideas on what to do. My whole goal was to have like the calendar area, and I found this one really interesting. I did feel like I could start here and then continue on here, even though they're on opposite pages. Just the calendar areas themselves are just very clean. I'm not putting anything else on that side. I'm not putting a tracker. My little to-do list here was errands for the day, but that's it. It's more about that they take time. Again, I'm kind of working off of my phone more. And then the notes areas I'm trying to fill. And then a margin I just leave open was kind of like the rules or the template that I was using. Like that margin's open. This is all clear for calendar, and then reflection there. Like this, I'm really tempted. Like these ones where I have it all on one page and have a whole page to just dump things. It makes me miss the, unfortunately, I miss the Twines and Paper. I do not condone that company. There was a bunch of problems with that, but that layout gives you like a whole side that you could do this with, and then have a horizontal on this side, and then you'd have a vertical on your next spread, but it gives you a whole page. Like the current one here, sorry, let me just move a thing here. The current one, this layout will just have come out. So like here, I'm looking at this going, well, where can I journal? Where can I do that on here? Do I need to like white out a side so I have a whole place to journal? Now, the other part is I usually don't journal in this book at all. So, but it makes me kind of wonder about like next year. Again, this is like a compact. So using a core or compact and doing something like this, like, it's possible. It's possible. It really is opening my eyes to that. So, yeah, I think I'll leave that there, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Yeah, next month is July. Oh, and I just wanted to show, I didn't get to use these two strips yet. I kept looking and kept looking. I just used this as a bookmark. It took me 2 days to kind of go through this and fill this all out. It took me a little time to kind of come back to it, take a break, come back to it. And I did think about using these to fill up a space, and I'm like, no, that's not the point of stickers, to just fill it up. I may do something in the back here where maybe I reflect a little bit upon this whole project in the back, and maybe, because I have a few more strip stickers. But yeah, I used up all the rest of them. Now July, I barely have any stickers. There's like, oh, and I forgot to show this. So I did fill this all in, and I just didn't want to use these strip stickers for events like I had done so heavily on these other pages. This one I didn't, but this one I did. Like the last, well, yeah, January through April was really using those strip stickers a lot. And I do like them, but I wanted this to feel a little different. I wanted it to feel a little floaty, a little melodic, and then big writing. And I really like this big writing. I did this thing where I put a line after the time, and it just felt like almost like this mini divider. So, yeah, I think there's just one event here that I didn't like. 3 p.m. roof estimate. I just want to put that on here, and just, I think there's just a couple like little details like that I want to go through and update. But yeah, I felt like this was, it reflected like a solid persona between the two, and feels very different from last month, where this was much more analytical and you can see that video. I'll have all the past videos linked down below, so you're welcome to go through them. And again, this is my little neurodivergent project. It's nothing that I think or expect anyone to ever do like this. If you want to try it, go for it. But it's something where, again, I'm using up the stickers. I'm trying new layouts. I'm reflecting on my life. I'm just trying new things where I don't have any consequences related to my, existing book here. It's not going to affect that in any way. And I think it's just going to be quite a delight to have this all done come the end of this journey. Like, it's not going to be the end of the year. I've been trying to do one. I did one every week for a while and then every couple weeks. So we'll see. I'm trying to fit them in. It's between like a week or 2 weeks. But there's not like a set schedule, but I'm halfway done. Well, yeah, I did 6 of them. I was like, wait, am I one off? No, I'm halfway done. So, we have July, which, this is like the biggest sticker I have in here. And then I'll have a couple little ones. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do. Am I going to rely heavily on Tombos? That's the other thing, is I went through and I tried to use the green Tombow here, but it was way too dark. I used the pink on the weekly layouts. I'll show in a moment. But August, I have a lot more. That's going to be a fun one because that's going to be kind of a travel theme. And I think it's November. I barely have any. In December, I have quite a few. So this will be a fun one to end on. But yeah, I'm in June right now. So like I did the May one in May. I did the June one in June. But I don't think I'm going to wait as long. I think I'll get July done soon and get into August. And then probably in July, I'll probably wrap this up is my hope. Maybe August, that's my timeline so far. So when you go here, you can see like very faintly, it's very hard to see, but if you look right there, there is pink highlighting on there on my events. So I can kind of see it at an angle a little bit more. See it like this when it's a little bit more shaded, but I didn't want it to be super standing out or anything. And there is quite a bit of green on here, but I tried using the green as check marks here and I just didn't like it. I was like, no, that's enough. So you tell me, did you like seeing me write everything in the previous videos? Did that help to see them being filled in, or did this work just seeing like after I wrote and everything? Because I really needed that time to write this much out. There was no way I was going to be able to sit there and write all of these. So if I do another layout, which I can see, I'm trying to think what month it would be. That would be a bit more, really, possibly August. I might return to that because it's going to be kind of like travel writing or something. And I'm trying to think where else I might do like more journaling. Maybe October. And then the rest will be a little different. So I would like to revisit like this much writing again. I think it lends into like me wanting to revisit this more because these are kind of plain. And these are a little bit like disconnected, where this again is more grounding. So you let me know. Would you like to see me filling it all in? I could try to do a really long time capture on it, or like keep coming back and showing. The light will change a lot, but maybe it helps to see me writing all out. I would love to hear from you, so let me know. I think that's it. So let me know what you think of this. If you want to be notified of when I do the rest of these, consider subscribing. Like this if you liked it. Makes sense, right? It's a free way to support. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.